Good evening, good evening, and welcome. Welcome to the Hub Talk Show on tonight. It is just so good to be here on tonight. I'm excited about our session that we have on tonight. We have a very, very special guest, and I'm so excited to have her on tonight. I just don't know what to do with myself. I'm so glad that she said that she would do this because it's an honor on tonight. But I just wanted to welcome everyone to the Hub Talk Show where community and ministry meet. And tonight we're going to have a real practical and much needed conversation about home ownership. If you're tuning in on Facebook Live on tonight, I just need you to do me a favor and share, share, share. Come on Facebook, share anyone that you know that has been talking about buying a home, that has been scared about it, that has questions about it. I need for you to go ahead and tag them on tonight because they're not going to want to miss this segment, okay? I want to say that when it comes to home ownership, there are a lot of questions and then there are a lot of fears that people have. And it is our objective on tonight to crush those myths and those fears on tonight, okay? So many families, when it comes to owning a home, they believe. It just depends on how you've grown up or whatnot. I know for me, the way we grew up was we wasn't to own a home until we get retired and then we buy a home. So, that was a little backwards. But times have changed. I have learned so much. I've gained knowledge in real estate and I just want to share it on tonight. So, we're busting some of those home buying myths. I'm excited to have Jenny Frankham on tonight. She's a senior mortgage advisor with Atlantic Bay Mortgage. She'll be joining us to help separate facts from fear and truth from assumptions on tonight. So, whether you think you need perfect credit, a huge down payment, or that home ownership is out of your reach, this conversation is for you on tonight. So, let's get into it. Our goal tonight is simple. It's to educate, it's to empower, and it is to encourage the community on tonight. These things that are coming on tonight, I know you guys were going to be amazed at the nuggets that are going to be dropped. So I want to introduce our guest speaker on tonight. I've known Jenny for about a year and a half. I've been in real estate for about a year and a half. So I've known her about a year and a half. And I honestly can say everyone that I pass over to her has been pre-approved. I want to put that nugget in there on tonight. But if you're talking about, someone that carries integrity, someone that really cares about what she does, this is Jenny on tonight. Amen. So her personal touch to lending has helped so many families throughout coastal Virginia to achieve their home ownership dreams. As the senior mortgage banker at Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group, Jenny's expertise has helped thousands of families across the region achieve their home ownership dreams. Okay. What makes her goal so special to her? She would answer that question by saying putting folks into homes is about more than financing. It's about building pride in a community. How about that? As a 20 plus year resident of Yorktown, Jenny has devoted her life and work to her community. Among the 4,000 plus homeowners she has served are teachers, first responders, veterans, families, and countless other professionals, the very community members who make Hampton Roads so special. Jenny was recently honored with Atlantic Bay's Gold Lifetime Achievement Award. She don't like to toot her own horn, but I'm going to do it on tonight for her. She has earned the Gold Lifetime Achievement Award for over $1 billion in loans produced. In her 13 years with Atlantic Bay, Jenny established herself as one of the top mortgage bankers in the region. Okay, in the region. She was recognized by Scotsman Guide as a 2025 top originator. Mortgage Women Magazine as a 2025 Mortgage Star, and Virginia Peninsula Association of Realtors as a 2024 affiliate of the year. That's a lot. That's a mouthful, right? I just want you all to know on tonight that we didn't come to play. I came tonight to bring you the best. And I know that you're going to be so encouraged on tonight to purchase your home, whether it's going to be this year, whether you decide on tomorrow that you want to schedule a discovery call. You're going to know what to do on tonight and how to go about it. So please welcome our guest speaker on tonight, Miss Jenny Frankum. Yes, welcome
Aw,
Miss Jenny on
Charlene,
tonight.
thank you. That was great.
Yes.
What a privilege to be here. I'm so excited.
Yes, I'm excited to have you on tonight, Jenny, as the people have already heard already. So if you're in the comments on tonight, go ahead. I want to see the clapping. I want to see the hands. I want to see you all tagging everybody on tonight. So Jenny, again, thank you so much for being a guest on the Hub Talk Show on tonight. I want to know a few things, just a little bit. I know I've read the bio, but what are some things that you like to do, Jenny? What are some things that
Oh,
happiness outside of pre-approving people 25/8?
outside of pre-approving people, I would say I'm a runner. So I do run. I'm not saying I run well or far, but I do like to run. I love to read. I have a book club. I'm learning bocce ball now, which is kind of cool and also very humbling. But so physical activity is always good. It kind of helps in that stress circle, right?
Yes, yes. So you say botch ball. What is botch
hmm
ball?
So bocce ball is well, it's kind of like bowling, but in the sand.
Okay,
So you
okay.
throw balls and then you try to get them closer. I mean, we lose every time we're in a bocce ball league. My husband and I are the most competitive losers on the planet, but it's okay because we go for community and hanging out with our friends.
Yes, yes. I
It's
love it.
humbling.
I love it, Jenny. I've learned something on tonight. I've never heard of that. Bowling in the sand. So I have
Yeah,
learned something on tonight. So outside of pre-approving people, she enjoys her sports and everything. So Jenny, I want to ask you something. Tell everyone here about what you do, a little bit more of what you do at Atlantic Bay. I know that you pre-approve people and everything, but do you have a team? Tell everyone about your team. Let's
right.
talk about it.
Right. Well, it takes a village, right? So our goal is to respond to people very quickly. And so in order to do that and to help a lot of people, you have to scale. So I have two assistants, and they each have very specific roles in what they do in helping folks achieve home ownership. But a lot of it is communication, a lot of it's education, because our goal is really if you're not ready to buy right now, for whatever reason it is, we can help guide you. We're going to tell you because they don't teach it in school. We don't know how, what the lines in we're supposed to be coloring, right? What dots are we supposed to be connecting? We don't know until someone educates us. So it first starts out, with a discovery call. We want to know your name, your date of birth, what are your goals? How long have you been renting? How do you feel about that rental payment? Is it comfortable? Is it a stretch? Can you afford more in terms of monthly payment? Because just because you can afford it doesn't mean you want to pay it.
I
But
like that.
learning all of that and what the goals are, and then plugging it into the system and looking at all the different pieces and really knowing what's strong in a situation and what is possibly a weakness and what we need to do to kind of build up that other piece. But a lot of it's just sitting down. We do a lot of this actually, Zoom calls with people so that we can show them, look, this is the guideline. This is what the underwriter is going to be looking for. This looks fantastic right now. But in 6 months, I think we can make this look even better and just tie a really pretty bow on that file. So we submit it, it's a win-win.
Yes, yes, I love that. I like that, Jenny. So it sounds like, in the world that we're in today, a lot of times when people contact lenders or they reach out to lenders and they contact lenders, some lenders may not give them that full background or that
Mhm.
that information or that caring factor. It sounds
Mhm.
like you and your team care
Mhm.
about educating the home buyer, about getting them set up, not just to get a pre-approval now, but to be able to afford housing, after the first month, second month,
Mhm.
third month.
Mhm.
And I really like that. That's something that's very important. And I think that is very rare
Right.
to find lenders like that. And I know from personal experience with you, once you pre-approve someone, They go through the discovery call, give you their whole life background. After they do that, and you find what works for them. I love how you reach out to them and how you explain everything. I've had a couple of people to come back and say that, you have set a bar that was real high. And
Oh,
a lot of lenders, they can't grab a hold of that. So it's real nice to know that we do have lenders out there that really care, not just about that moment,
hmm.
but about their future as it comes to home ownership. I really like that. So, Jenny, let me ask you, so what is your biggest home buying myth that you hear weekly? Now, I know you busted about five of them for us at training one good time, but what is one that just ranks over everything that you hear?
I probably hear more often than not that there's two. I think people think they have to have like a 700 credit score, right,
Mm,
to buy a home. And I
mm,
think other folks feel like they have to have this huge down payment in order to buy a home and they have to have a lot of money saved. Having money saved is helpful, right? But
right.
it's not a requirement. Typically, the minimum credit score across the board for most programs in order to get a really decent interest rate is 620. Some programs will go down to 580, but you're going to kind of pay in credit score. So if we find someone who can move forward at 580, we'll show them what that looks like. But then I'll say, listen, if we can just get your score up 40 points, let me show you what this looks like. Right. And then compare the two side by side so they can make the decision whether now's the right time or if you want to give it 3 to 6 months. And I can help show you what you need to do to raise it up 40 points. Some people don't have a choice. They need to buy now. Right. So if we can make that happen, then we do. The other large down payment. There's so many programs out there for first-time home buyers that allow folks to purchase with no money down. I have someone right now that got 20% grant. That was
What?
$50,000. Yes, offered through the city of Hampton. It was amazing. Now, there's some caveats to that. You have to agree to live in the house within a certain period of time. But this was his dream home, and he wasn't planning on moving. So he didn't care. He had to live in the house. But the money's out there, the programs are out there. The timing has to be right, which is why even if you're not ready to buy right now, but you're thinking maybe in the next 12 to 24 months, let's sit down and have a conversation because grant money, which is free money that you don't have to pay back, it's there for a flash in the pan, right? And then when it's gone until it's revested each year. So knowing what you're looking for, knowing what that monthly payment is that you're comfortable with, then when you hear all the grant things, because it's like when you're buying a car, there's a specific car that you love. Once you know
Yes.
you want to buy that car, you see it everywhere on the road. Well, once you know you want to buy a house, then you start hearing about all the programs and the grant. And trust me, the algorithm on social media will start showing you all the things.
Yes, yes, it does every
But
time.
once you do all of your research and you're ready, then when you start hearing all the things about all this free money, that's when you'll call and say, Jenny, sign me up. I think it's ready. Yes, now's the time. Everything's funded. So yeah, it's never, I find, Shirley, I was going to tell you a second ago, most people do not make that first step because they are afraid of rejection. That
Oh,
is
that's
a totally human thing where I'm afraid to call you and bare my soul. It's like standing up there naked, giving you my social, my date of birth. This is how much money I do or do not have in the bank, right? That
right.
people are so afraid and there's so much shame
Mm,
tied to money that
mm,
that they're afraid that if they call me, then they'll be rejected. You're either approved or you're denied. And that's not really how it works, right? You're either approved or we put you on a path.
I like that. I like
You're
that.
either approved or we put you on a path. Everyone has the ability to buy. You just don't know what the next step is, what the very next best step is, because they do not teach it. So there's no shame in it, right? Because no one taught you. You can't have shame in something that you never knew.
That's good.
So it's educating people, taking the time, and you're exactly right. We feel it is our responsibility to help this next generation build wealth through home ownership because it's really the only way through generations that you can build wealth. You can't do it by just saving money. This is
That's
how
right.
this is how all the very wealthy people in the world have built their wealth is through owning real estate. But no one teaches that. It should be a class.
That's right. That's good. That's good, Jenny. That's good. There might be something you want to look into. hold a class. I'll be there. I'll come.
There you go. There
People
you
out. I love
go.
it. I love it. So, Jenny, you talked about the different programs. I had someone to ask me, when it comes to the grants and the first time home buyers and all of that, and I was trying to explain, but it's not my lane. But I was
Mhm,
trying to explain, that at a certain time of the year, that's when the funds and stuff come out. But once they're exhausted, they're exhausted. So a
mhm.
lot of people don't understand that at around, a certain time of the year, you may not have any funding or whatever the case may be. So it's best to know the good timing and when to get in there,
Mhm.
when to
Mhm.
jump in for grants. Can you say
Mhm.
around about? I know you really can't because you
Right.
all received grants that you didn't even expect to have
Mhm.
around this time. So you never really know. So could you say, for instance, like when is a good time to just be ready and just be prepared if you want to look
Sure.
at grants?
Well, some grants are always available. Like Virginia Housing is a state-run organization, and they always have down payment assistance and grant money. It's just funded by the state, and it's always there. Occasionally, they'll have some niche. Remember the $10,000 grant and the $5,000 grant that was available that went away, and once that money was gone, it was gone.
Mhm.
Typically, grants are available twice a year at the beginning and like mid, because I talked to the city of Hampton and I talked to a couple others. They said they're about to get money around July. So
Mhm.
that's kind of the mid-year. A lot of money is given in the beginning. And listen, money goes to different entities. It goes to cities, it goes to counties, some federal banks. We're not a federal bank, we're a mortgage company, so we don't get like all the good grants like that you'll hear, some of the other affiliates might get. But I will tell you when the other folks have it, like, so I want you to get I want you to
Right.
get, but sometimes theirs are given in the beginning of the year and they're usually gone by March because boy, people are grabbing. But
Yeah.
twice a year. So that one Bank of Atlanta is every January. And then the city and county grants are typically at the beginning of the year and then in June or July, just in time for the summer season, right? And then they're gone.
Yes, yes, especially, summertime be popping. Soon as it gets hot, everybody is out. And so I didn't
Yeah.
know that though. I thought it was only the beginning of the year, not like
When I
mid.
talked to the city of Hampton last week, she said she was getting money, and there's different kinds of money. So
Okay.
there's grant money that can help you with down payment and closing costs. There's
Okay.
something called Spark money that you use in combination with that Virginia Housing Loan Program that lowers your interest rate 1 full point. And then there's some money especially with City of Hampton where they purchase homes and they renovate them, and then they have certain amount of money tied to those specific addresses. So there's lots of good stuff, but you just have to take the time to really sink your teeth into it and see what's available. And these organizations, the city and the counties, they want to help. Like they want, and if you put your name on the list, they'll call you when money becomes available. But
Oh,
you
wow.
don't even know to do that unless you sit down with a mortgage lender that's willing to kind of walk you through that.
I like that. I like that. I'm learning some stuff tonight too. I try to stay in my lane. I don't like to talk about the lending or the money part because I don't want to mess anything up.
Mm.
However, but I'm learning some things too to put in my arsenal on tonight. So I appreciate that, Jenny. That's good. That's good. So I think we've kind of touched on this question, but I'm
Mhm.
going to go in and ask it anyway.
Okay.
Do people really need the 20% down to buy a home?
Absolutely not.
I had someone
Absolutely.
to ask
That's
me
a
that.
big no, absolutely not. So the reason we've heard that 20% and it kind of sticks with us is because that's the way it used to be, because mortgage insurance, MI, wasn't available once upon a time. But now that mortgage insurance is available, and that's the insurance that you have to pay monthly if you're putting less than 20% down, and it protects the lender in case you default, right? So it's protection. No, you can do an FHA loan, which is 3.5% down. If you're a first-time home buyer, just using a straight 30-year fix, the minimum down's 3%. If you use one of these Virginia housing loan programs, they have 100% loan programs. They have like a conventional plus that allows you to finance the down payment, or an FHA plus that allows you to finance the down payment. And if your credit score is over 680, you can even roll an additional 1.5% of that purchase price into that second loan, which further reduces how much money you have to bring to closing. And my camera is blurry because I'm moving my hands.
It's
It
okay.
doesn't know where to focus.
It's okay. It's okay. We can still hear you well, and it doesn't mess up anything, so that's fine. But Jenny, I like that. I thank you for that. And you named some different types of loans, FHA plus loan, and sounds like these really depend on your credit score, but they can really help out when
Mhm.
it's time to buy a home. And that way, if people are saying, "Well, I don't have that down payment," I don't have those closing costs or things of that nature. These different grants and programs, they're out there to help them. And I
Mhm.
remember seeing something about FHA Plus on one of the young ladies that you approved, we closed on and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad to know about that. I'm glad to know about that. So let me ask you, Jenny, what are some realistic down payment options for first-time home buyers? We've talked about the grants that help out. You've even said that it's good to even have something saved or set back or
Mhm.
whatnot. We talked about that. But outside of grants and everything, when someone comes to you and let's say that they don't have a grant, they don't have any money saved or whatnot, what are other options that you suggest that they look into to get money for um, down payment? I know closing costs, we can always ask, the seller on the other end as realtors. But what
Mhm.
are some other options? I know you like to help your clients out that you would say to someone.
I would say that Virginia Housing Loan Program is pretty strong because again, it's 100% financing. So there's no down payment needed.
Okay, and it's year
You do
round.
have to have a 620 credit score. That's the minimum credit score. The caveat with these loan programs through Virginia Housing is they have something called a max debt to income ratio guideline. So you can't go over 50%. So then my clients will say, well, what is that? Well, what that is all of your monthly payments that are populated on your credit report, just the payments, not the balances. You'd add those together, and then you add in your new housing payment and you divide that number by your gross monthly income.
Mm,
That cannot be over 50%. So as long as you have a 620 credit score and your debt to income ratio is 50 or below, then you have a really good shot of being able to do this 100% loan program. I would say the other big thing, Charlene, that holds people up from taking that first step, right, and opening up that conversation with a lender is employment. Everybody has questions about their employment and they think they have to be on the job for a full 2 years. And really, the rule is you don't. If you've
wow.
college counts as work history. So as long as you've been on the job for, long enough for us to know that you're working 40 hours or if you're salary, and you have a college degree or at least 2 years in college, that counts as job history. You can switch jobs actually, as long as you've had 2 years of work history. And we sometimes, depending on the job, want to be able to tie the type of work together to make
Mhm.
sure that, you're kind of staying within the same line of work.
Right.
But many folks, I've asked them, what took you so long? They're like, because I don't have 2 year work history, or they think they have to be on the same job for 2 years. And that is not the case. That is not the case. There's so many rules that you can't be expected to know them. That's why starting that conversation is so important. The other thing is the type of income really
Mm,
dictates, how long you need to be on the job. Many of us, including myself, are all W-2 employees. If you're a W-2 employee and you're hourly, then, as long as I have you on, as long as I can show a pay stub that shows 40 hours that you work full time, then you're good, right? You have a 2 year work history in something else, that's fine, but continuous 24 months of work is fantastic. If you're commission, so meaning you get paid not by the hour, but, by what you bring in or, I don't know, whatever you get paid commission on, then you have to have a 2 year history. And what they're going to want to see is 2 years worth of tax returns.
mm,
And the reason we want to see tax returns is because when you're a 1099 employee, your commission and your 1099, you are blessed with the ability to write off some deductions, some expenses, right? And so we're going to count what the adjusted gross income is, and we're going to want to see what it kind of averages over a 24-month period because we don't really have good income to count unless we know over a 2 year period what your deductions are.
that's
So
right.
that's why they want those 2 years worth of taxes. If you're self-employed, same thing. But if you're W-2 and you're an hourly or salary employee, one pay stub. We'll even count a job offer letter as long as it meets certain criteria. So we'll even let you close before you start the job. It just
Oh,
really
wow.
depends. So I wouldn't let anything hold you back from at least starting the conversation and learning, what the hurdles are.
That's good. That's good, Jenny. Nice information. Good information. Jenny, I have two questions early in the game
Love it.
on tonight. First question, how many programs can I use at once?
Okay, so that's a good question. I think what I'm interpreting is can I use like a Virginia Housing FHA plus and then add a grant on top of that? I assume. Like can you stack things to really get the max benefit? Some things you can't, and some things you can. So for example, if you have a county grant, you can also use the grant that's offered through Virginia Housing. So you can stack grants. Typically, you can't use that plus loan where you're financing the down payment with a grant. Nor would you really want to, right? Because why finance it if I can get it for free?
Right,
So,
right.
so yes, I have seen folks stack grants if that's answering the question that they're looking for. You can't stack like an FHA with a conventional, right? That doesn't really work, but you can take advantage of multiple monies at one time.
Okay. Okay, good. That's good to know. I have another question, Jenny. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
are the grants open to everyone or are there criteria?
Oh, that's a good question. I should have hit on that. Thank you. Yes, there is criteria. It's based on need. So there are income limits. There are also debt to income ratio limits with some of them. Like we'll give you this money, but your back ratio that I talked about, that math problem that we went over, can't go over a certain amount. Most of the time, grants are based on household income. So it's not just the person who's on the loan, it's everyone that's going to be living in that household. They're going to look at what everyone in the household makes and make sure that it's not above, what their sliding scale is based on how much money they're given. So that's why we put you in touch with the city of Hampton, with York County, with Newport News, whoever, James City County, whoever it is you're talking to, because everyone does have different criteria. We try to get it for you, and then we'll give it to you. We'll kind of say, I think you may meet this loan program. Let's put you, or this grant program, let's put you in touch. You always have to go and do an in-person meeting. They typically want you to take a first-time homebuyer class in person, even if it's offered virtually. They want you to be there in person. And they're going to ask for everything shy of DNA. They're going to ask for bank statements, pay stubs, W-2s, because it's free money, you know? So there has to be a little pain involved.
Yes, just a
But
little.
it's worth it. I told you about the guy who got 20%.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that was good. I know he was happy. Oh,
Yes, yes, but
my
you have to be willing to go through some of the red tape,
God.
right, to get there. You got to be willing to work for it.
Exactly, because they really don't want to give it to you.
Well, they want to, but they have to, they're audited too, right? So they want
Right,
to make sure if they're ever audited that there's no question that they gave it to the people that it was meant for.
right. Understandable. Jenny, I have another question.
Okay.
With the economy the way it is, how are you able to still encourage that buying is possible?
Mm. And I get that. There are so many affordability issues, right? Not
Right.
just with how expensive houses are, but how high interest rates are. I mean, it is a difficult thing. Some people, this is what I found, that rent is also increasing. Rent
Yes.
is sometimes more expensive than buying, which is why I think all this grant money is in existence to help people with the whole rental crisis. Um, but rates will come down. But home ownership, at least in my experience, there was a period of time, maybe 3 years, where real estate didn't appreciate, meaning it didn't increase in value. So you're paying X, but that property that's, let's say, 350 today, if it's appreciating at a 6%, 4% rate, whatever it is each year, by the time you sell that property 10, 15, 20 years from now, I mean, the amount of money that's like a built-in savings account, you're paying yourself back each month. There's really three ways to save, right? You're paying yourself each month, you're paying down your principal. That's one way, right? You're building equity by just paying down the loan balance. You're also building equity through appreciation. So the home values continue to go up, and that's yours when you sell the
Mhm.
house. Like that's money you're going to get. But then you also have the write-off of owning a home. You get to deduct the interest and all the things. So now you get a bigger tax check at the end of the year when you file your taxes to the federal government. So there's three benefits, three ways of saving, three different buckets. Or you could rent and pay someone else's mortgage and not have any of those other ways of saving. Like you're paying someone else's principal down. They're still owning the property, so they're gaining on the appreciation, and they're still the one taking the tax write-off.
Yes.
So, you
Yes,
know,
yes. That's good. That's
but
good.
it's a fair point. It is a fair point that cannot be denied.
Yeah, I think it was a great question because a
Hmm.
lot of people have some people have frozen because of the
Hmm.
economy. Because they don't
There's
know
a
what
lot
it's
of fear
going.
for sure.
There's a lot of fear. However, in real estate, you may have, ups and downs,
Hmm.
but it always seems to balance out itself. And so
Hmm.
it's like
It's like
you,
your 401k,
right,
Don't
right.
don't be looking at your 401k. You're in it for the long haul.
Right. The long haul, the long haul. Okay, the questions are coming in, Jenny. Okay. So Jenny, how do you convince baby boomers
Mm,
to purchase when the rates are outrageous? How do
mm.
they win? How do the baby boomers win?
Hmm. Everyone's situation's different,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So it may not be a situation where baby boomers want to rent.
Hmm.
May want to buy, right? Because they've been renting their whole lives. I mean, it may just be a thing that doesn't work with what their definition of the American dream is, right?
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. That's a really good question. How would I convince them? Because they're not, if we think about this, Shirley, and they're not in it. Baby boomers are kind of at the age right now close to retirement.
Hmm.
So does it make sense to invest their money in real estate when really they're retiring? And so the financial plan there, right, is to how can I live off of the savings I've already accomplished, right? I've already saved, I've already grown. It may not be. It's something that I would turn to my financial planner about and see if that makes sense based on what my personal strategies and goals were.
Okay, okay, that's good. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. So let me ask you, Jenny. So a lot of let me stick to the questions. Let me just go to the questions. So Jenny, what's the difference between down payment and closing costs?
Oh, that's good. So that's a jargon answer, right? So it's all about language. When I say down payment, I mean the difference between the purchase price and the loan amount. So
Okay.
the gap there, that's your down payment. However, when you close on a home, there's more than just down payment required at the time of closing. You have your closing costs, you have your prepaids, you have your escrows. So really, I've learned, especially over the last 5 years, that when people say, and I want to put $10,000 down. Okay. My follow-up question is, do you mean 10,000 total funds at closing? Like that's what you want to spend on the transaction? Or do you mean true down payment? Do you want to put the difference between the purchase price and the loan amount as 10,000 and then pay your closing costs and prepaids on top of that? 9 times out of 10, people say, no, 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 I want to just bring 10,000 to closing. And I'm like, gotcha, gotcha,
Right,
gotcha.
right. I know with those closing costs, a lot of people
They're
get.
expensive.
Yes, a lot of people get, I know when I look at a worksheet and I see everything that's being taken out between title, between escrow, between taxes,
Uh-huh.
those numbers really, really, really do add up. And some
Mhm.
people, they question, well, why my closing costs are like 15 and $12,000.
Mhm.
But it's a lot that goes into, what you bring to closing and everything.
Absolutely.
That's good. That's good, Jenny. So let me ask you, we've already talked about, credit. We've already talked about that. So what are like the top three things people can do to improve their credit before applying?
Ah,
You have
that's
any
good. So,
nuggets?
yes, yes. And they should also teach this in school. So, longevity of account. So, how long you've had a credit card specifically open matters, right?
Okay.
The longer you have it open in good standing, the higher your credit goes. So that's why I often tell people when I'm teaching first time homebuyer classes, you want to pay down your debt and close out that account. I'm like, no, no, no. You do not want to close out revolving accounts. You want to have you just want to have some willpower, right? Pay them off, but don't close them because as soon as you close them, then you lose that history. And when you lose that history, it actually brings your score down because the history is working into the formula of raising your score. Okay. Second thing is how much money you owe on that revolving account in relation to what the credit card limit is. So
Okay.
the closer your balance is to the limit, the lower your score because it looks like your card's, max out. Even though you're making your payments on time, you're doing great. Whenever you carry a large balance that's close to that limit, it brings your score down.
Okay.
The other piece is paying your credit cards and your loans on time.
Mm,
They look at that 30-day history and are you paying them on time? Every 30 days, 60 days, 90 days late, it's going to drop your score 20, 40, 60, up to like 80 points. So you have to pay your cards on time. And I've also seen many folks when I look at credit reports, I look at a lot of credit reports that they'll miss one payment
hmm.
and then they'll just make the next payment without making the payment that they missed. And so what happens is it's called a trailing late. So they'll apply that payment, but they're always applying it 30 days behind, 30 days behind. So then it looks on your credit report like you're making your credit card payment 30 days late every single month. So it's
Oh,
bringing your score down 20 points, 40 points, 60 points, which is why it's really important. All of us are entitled to 3 free credit reports a year. You get one from Experian, one from TransUnion, and one from Equifax. So my advice would be to spread those out. Get one in January, get one in, let's say June, and get one in December so that you can see, because you may have missed a payment and not even realized it, right? You're thinking, I'm just paying it on time. What's the problem? It's set up on auto pay.
right.
What's the problem? But this way you're monitoring that so that you can catch it and fix it and pay it. So we talked about balance to credit limit. We talked about the transaction history, making sure you pay on time, and also the variety of credit that you have. Credit bureaus like to see that you have an installment loan, which is like a student loan or a vehicle loan, that you have credit, and they have several different types of credit over a period of time because it really speaks to the psychology of how you feel about debt. And so
Mm.
that all of that works into that credit score formula.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's good information. It reminds me of, I know someone that used to work in the field, and they would say that you can look at someone's credit report and really it tells a story.
Yeah,
It sounds
yeah.
like what you're saying. You guys like to look at it and see what the story tells. That way you can know
I
which
have
down.
a really good graphic that shows that. It's like a pie and shows you each piece of the pie. I'll share that with you, Shirley, so that you can share
Okay.
it. But
I
it's
appreciate that.
helpful visually to kind of see. Yeah, I can email that to
Appreciate
you.
that. I appreciate that. I'm gonna make sure I remind you so
Yes,
I can
ma'am.
have this information.
Oh,
Can
I'm
you
sure you will. I don't
can you
doubt that.
look, can you put our little stuff on the bottom of it too, Jenny? You know, the
There
picture
you go.
information. I like that. Oh, she spoils
That's
me.
good.
But Jenny, we have another question.
Okay.
Miss Shannon says, how do it work if you were in a hardship? If you got evicted and you was
Hmm.
under doctor care,
Hmm.
you couldn't work during that time. How
Hmm.
does this affect home buying and will you be able to buy?
Okay, so there's a couple different factors there that we'd look at, right? So one of them is income. Do you have enough income to buy, right? Because you have to have that debt to income ratio right under that 50 we talked about. So, and it could be different types of income. It might be Social Security, you might have some sort of pension, maybe you're back to work. So then the second piece of that is if you are back to work, then your question becomes, I had this gap of employment because I was out for medical history, right? Or a medical issue, and now I'm back to work. I think as long as you can explain that gap of employment, depending on the loan type, there's certain number of months that they'll allow, right? Many women, actually, or men, to be fair, will take time off to raise the kids, right? They worked, they had some children, now they're back to work, and this job history before deciding to stay home to raise children does count. So it might be a situation where we can do that. So it really depends. Everyone's situation is different. It is. It's not a cookie cutter business. So really sitting down with someone and explaining all of that, someone that has the mind, that can kind of piece it all and put it all together and then talk to an underwriter who makes the decision, okay, what's the best path forward given this particular situation? What do they need to do? How much do they need to save? Do they have enough income based on what their debt parameters are? Because I do get a lot, how much money do I need to make in order to buy a house? And
Mhm.
it's not a fair question because it really depends on how much debt you have. And everyone has a different bit of debt, right? You may have no debt, and then I can answer that question easily, right? Depending on how much you want to buy. But you may also have a car, you may have some student loans, you may have a credit card. And so how much money you need to make at the same price point is different, right? Because we're
Okay.
looking at that total debt to income ratio.
Mm. Okay. Okay. So speaking to that same thing, Jenny, if you let's say that someone has they're wanting to apply for a loan and then you look at their credit report and you see that they have some things on their credit report. Are you want to say that everything that you see on there needs to be paid off? Are there certain things that need to be paid off? Certain things that could stay? What are some major things that just you just need to get it paid off, or does it matter because you're bringing that debt to income ratio in? That's what you're
Oh,
trying.
so good. Great question. So if let's just say you had a 560 credit score, and we're trying to get you up to 620. I could look at the report and give you some advice on what to do and just based on experience, or I could trust my credit analyzer, which is a system that we would plug your credit report into. And I can manipulate the system based on our conversation. I plan on paying this credit card off in 6 months. I can pay this credit card off now. I'm going to sell this car, and then I can simulate all of those changes, right? And then give it a time frame, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, and then it tells me what how it will impact the score, which is
Okay.
really cool
Yeah.
with all three bureaus. And then it puts together in a nice report that I can email over to you and say, okay, this is what the credit analyzer is telling us. Now, let's say you're like, I have no idea, you just tell me what to do. Then we can also look at the credit analyzer based on when you want to buy. Okay, we have 12 months. What can we do in 12 months? And how long will it take you to save the money needed to make all of these changes, right? Because it does take time to save up enough money to pay down credit cards. So being realistic about all of that, but you have to start it now, not when your lease is about to expire in 30 days. You know what I mean? Like let's do it now, knowing that in 12 to 24 months, you're going to buy. Like plan ahead. And we're not the planning generation. I don't know if you knew that or not, but we're not. We're the instantaneous. I want to
Yes.
move in
Last
and
minute.
my lease is up next month. And this is one of those things where sometimes that definitely can work out. But I would say most of the time, a little bit of planning might be needed.
Right, right. I agree. And you're right. Like last minute, like
Right.
just wait till last minute. And I'm trying
Yeah.
my best. Uh,
Right. And this is pot kettle over here. I am not me. I do the exact same thing.
Yes, yes, that's good stuff, Jenny. That's good stuff. Remember, everyone that's tuning in, put your questions in the comments. I'm getting every one of the questions so that we can take advantage of all of the knowledge that we have on the hub on tonight. This is to help push you forward in those goals and what you want to achieve in life this year. Because for some of you guys, home buying it can be right now.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know that. You think that you're so far off or you're so far down between debt or you got this going on. And sometimes all you need is a discovery call, and that call
Mhm.
will let you know where you are based on when you want to buy. It'll give you, as Jenny said, a plan. And sometimes you
Mhm.
just need a plan. I love it. I
Mhm.
love it when it's 1, 2, 3. X, Y, and Z. Just tell me what I
Yes.
need to do, and I
The
can do
next best step
the next.
is.
That's right. That's right. That means
Mhm.
that everything, you're not twiddling your thumbs. You're not doing things that won't benefit you in home buying. You'll know exactly what to do to put you on that right track. So that's good stuff, Jenny. That's good stuff. So let me ask you this. What's the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval?
That's a good one too. All right, so pre-qualification is where you give me a call and you say, "This is how much money I make. This is how much debt I have. These are my monthly payments. And this is how much I want to be able to buy." And I, with a calculator, pull out my calculator and I calculate everything here. And I say, based on ratios and guidelines, this is how much you're pre-approved for.
Okay.
Pre-approval means I'm actually pulling a credit report, and it's called a tri-merge credit report.
Mm.
3 bureaus. We don't use the low score. We don't use the high score. We use the middle score. Okay. We're looking at the debt to income ratio based on things that are populated on that credit report. Ideally, you would have sent us a pay stub so that we can take a look because really most people don't understand how they're paid, and that's not unusual at all. Um, so we'd look at that to make sure that's correct. You'd send us a bank statement so that we can look to make sure that you have enough money to close on the loan, or at least come up with a strategy that you can help, ask the seller to help out. And then we give you a pre-approval letter. It's also run through what we call our automated underwriting system. We plug everything in, we click it through Fannie Mae system or Freddie Mac system, and it gives us an automated approval. If it doesn't give us an automated approval, it's something called a refer, which is what I guess we would call a denial, right? It's just saying not yet, right?
Okay.
And then we look through and look at all the reasons. Okay, why is it not liking this file? And then that's the advice we give. We say, okay, look, it looks like you're going to need about another $5,000. There's something in mortgage called layered risk. Have I ever talked to you about that, Charlene? Layered risk. Okay, so someone who has an 800 credit score, let's just say they have $30,000 in the bank and their debt to income ratio is a 25, doesn't have a lot of risk, right? But someone who has a 620 credit score, has $500 in the bank, and we're taking their debt to income ratio up to the max, which is 50, there's some layered risk there. And so in the mortgage world, they offset layered risk with interest rate. So the
Mm.
higher the rate, it's because they're trying to offset something, right? The risk. So if your credit score is lower, then the interest rate is going to be a little bit higher, right? Because there's loan level price adjustments. They're offsetting for that risk. If you have less skin in the game, like you're putting less money down, the interest rate's going to be higher to offset for that. So
Mm.
that's why sometimes you'll say, well, my friend his interest rate was 5.875. Why are you giving me 6.5? And it's
Mm.
because of all those different details that the system reads, and it has to somehow offset the layered risk. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. That's good. That's good, Jenny. So let me ask you, I was listening to what you were saying about when it comes to the pre-approvals and everything. And um, when do a loan ever get to where it's has to go to like a manual underwrite?
Mm,
Like, let's say that, the pre-qual and the pre-approval, we already know the difference between those, but the
mhm,
pre-approval process, when you put the numbers and everything in the machine and it tells you,
mhm, mhm.
gives you they're pre-approved or not. When is there a time that it may go to like a manual underwrite?
These
And
are good
what is
questions,
the manual?
Charlene.
And what
I
is
wouldn't
the
have,
manual
I
underwrite?
love that. Okay, good question. So, what she's saying is, I run the pre-approval. I run it through the AUS system, right? That's supposed to spit out that refer or approve. And I can't get the approval, but everything on the file looks pretty good. Debt to income ratio is pretty low. My credit score may be a little bit low, but I've got all these other compensating factors that I feel like this is a strong file. There is something called a manual underwrite. So even though I don't get that automated approval, I can submit the file directly to my underwriter. So male, female, individual, person, an actual human is going to look at all the details of that file. There are separate guidelines for manually underwritten loans. So the debt to income ratio normally maybe max at 50 for that Virginia housing program I was talking about. If it's manually underwritten, we may have to take that down to 45. There are different things because that's a layered risk loan that's manually underwritten. So we're gonna tighten up. We may want them to have 2 months of reserves, and reserves is just a fancy way of saying whatever that new mortgage payment is monthly, we want you to have that times two in the bank after closing, just in case something happens. We feel more comfortable knowing that if you lose your job tomorrow, you're able to make your mortgage payment for at least 2 months. So there might be some additional things that are required, but you can still move forward without that automated approval. That's
Okay.
a manually underwritten loan. We also really like to turn a file in, even if it's pre-approved and everything looks great. You turn in your bank statements, pay stubs, W-2s. We want to go ahead and turn that file into underwriting while you're looking for property with Charlene or whatever agent you select, because then we can smooth out the road. Things move much quicker once you're under contract. We can also catch anything that maybe I didn't catch or that someone else didn't catch. It's an extra set of eyes. So when a mortgage lender wants to do that, that is not a red flag. That is 100% helpful to you and everyone in the process. It also helps you close faster, which could make your offer more competitive.
Yes. Oh, I like that. I like that, Jenny. I see what you did there. I like that. I like that. I love to see those manual underwritten approvals. I
We
think,
do a lot of those. You
yeah,
can
it's
you can
cool.
only do them on government loans. So
Mhm.
VA, FHA, USDA, you can't do them on a conventional loan.
Okay. Okay. So, Jenny, we have a question.
Okay, let's do it.
What are the steps to home buying, step by step? Do you need a realtor when you're home buying?
Oh, this is a question for Charlene.
Yes, yes. So, did you want to say anything on it, or you
Well,
just
I think the first step is do not go view property, even if the agent will show it to you, which they're not legally supposed to. Do not go view property without getting pre-approved first. And I'm going to tell you why. Not only are you wasting your time, right? Because you're visiting a home that you may or may not be able to afford, it is really difficult from a mental perspective to unsee a home that's above your price point.
Mm,
It's hard to go backwards. Does that make sense? So you're
yes.
pre-approved for, let's say you're pre-approved for 300, but you really like that $400,000 house and you walk into that and you're like, whoa, this is amazing.
Mm,
Now when we start showing you 300, it's hard. It's hard to be satisfied, right? $100,000 is a big difference in size, location, all the things. So I think to do yourself justice, figure out exactly what you're comfortable paying. Because sometimes you're pre-approved for, let's just say 3,000 a month, but you're really only comfortable paying 1,200 a month. So we need to know that. And then have your lender back into what that purchase price looks like. All right, so if I'm only comfortable with 1,200, what does that mean in
mm,
terms of buying power? And then you set yourself up with an agent. That agent's going to set you up on a drip, show you what all the properties look like in that price range. And then you'll start looking at those. And it is a process. Like
mm,
sometimes you have to look at that 300 and you're like, you qualified for 400, but you're looking at the 300 and you're like, okay, I can't really, I'm going to have to bump it 25,000. Jenny, what does $25,000 more mean
yeah.
in payment? And you have to get really okay with that from a budgetary standpoint. Like, can I do that? Can I sacrifice my Starbucks? Can I sacrifice my nail appointment? I mean, these are real things and they add up, but you have to think about that. Am I right, Shirley?
That's right. That's right. You do.
So,
And
yeah.
yeah, I like that, Jenny. I really like that. And I want to piggyback off of what Jenny is saying as well, because the second part of the question was, do I need a realtor? My
Hmm.
answer to that would be, no, you don't need a realtor, but will it be smart? To have a realtor, yes. It's almost like going about something that you didn't know anything about in the first place, and then you're trying to pedal through.
Right.
With a realtor, you don't have to pedal through. A good realtor will let you know what's coming up, what needs to happen, what's the next steps. And this could help you avoid a lot of pitfalls that you may run into that you would have done on your own, as
Mm.
opposed to someone telling you how to navigate around some obstacles. You can waste time doing that. You can lose out on money doing that. So I would say that, do you need one? No, you can do anything. You can do what you want on your own. But would it be smart to have one? Yes, it would be. It's almost like
Hmm.
trying to put together a desk or an entertainment center without instructions. So if you go
Hmm.
about it without having a realtor, then that's what it's going to be, because believe it or not, home buying is technical. It's like
Hmm. Hmm.
it's things that have to take place, and it's best
It
to
is
do those things.
the most expensive thing that we buy in a
Yeah.
lifetime.
Oh, yes.
I don't know why anyone would ever purchase something without some expertise when it's the most expensive thing that we
Yes.
buy.
That's right. That's right, Jenny. That's right.
Mhm.
So I hope that answered your question, Miss Shannon. Thank you so much for all of your questions.
I have had so much fun. This is so
Yes.
fun.
Yes, me too. Me too, Jenny. Me too. So with that being said, Jenny, I'm going to go into, I want to make an announcement, and then I'm going to bring it back over to you for you to tell us how to contact you.
Okay.
Everyone that wants a discovery call. You want to know
Okay.
where you are. You want to know what it's going to take. If you want to buy in the next 90 days, if you want to buy in the next 6 months or to a year, or you may be ready right now. That discovery call will let you know. And so I wanted to say that I want to let everyone know that we're having a Funnel Cake Frenzy. Will be at the Hootie, the Country Music Festival, their third annual Country Music Festival, and it's gonna be May the 9th from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. We'll love to see you out there at 700 Thimble Shoals Boulevard in Newport News. So if you love funnel cakes, we want to see you out there. Funnel Cake Frenzy is making a impact in the community. We're going around and we're touring, so that's something that I want to share with everybody that's on tonight. While I'm going over some things, if you have your final questions, go ahead and submit them. However, as we close on tonight, I just hope that this encouraged somebody, to stop counting yourself out, before you even know what's possible. Home ownership is not just about buying a house, it's about stability, it's about stewardship. It's about legacy, and it's creating a place where your family can grow and thrive. So tonight we just wanted to bust some myths down for you guys and remove that fear. Hopefully, between Jenny and I, um, a lot of fear has been removed. Just step out, just do it. It's like Nike, just do it. Begin to build that generational wealth, and you may not be ready today, but the right guidance can help you prepare for tomorrow. That's just like Jenny was saying, you get on the discovery call, see where you are. If you're not there, she's not going to hang the phone up in your face or just leave you there. There's a plan that comes out of this because she wants to see you win.
Mhm.
And so I do as well. So with that, don't be afraid. And before we close, I wanted to give Jenny a moment to share how can we contact you, Jenny? Anyone on the line on tonight that want to start that process, how do they contact you? What are your how can we get with you?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you. I really, really appreciate the opportunity. It feels very intimate and it's a privilege. So thank you so much for that. I would love to speak with anyone who feels led to call me. You can reach out to me. My personal cell phone, 757-572-9635. You can also email me. Jenny is short for Virginia. So my email address, you didn't know that, Shirley?
No, I didn't know
Yes,
that.
yes, that's why it's spelled Ginny. So Jenny Frankum, and Frankum is Francum at AtlanticBay.com. So anytime, if I don't pick up, leave a message, shoot me a text. It just means I'm on the other line with somebody else, and I will call you right back.
Yes, and yes, she will, as per usual. She's good with that. I love that. I failed to say this. I also want to thank our leaders at House of God Worship Center, Bishop Gary T. Rogers and First Lady Lisa Rogers, for allowing us this time and this snippet, this moment on this Friday to educate the community and to bring ministry and community to life right here on the Hub Talk Show, which is
Mhm.
every first Friday of the month. We are bringing and bridging the community in ministry because our objective is to educate so that we can empower you in every area of your life. So
Mhm.
I hope that the Hub has inspired many of you on tonight. And I just want to thank you for tuning in. And I want to thank Jenny again for giving us this time and this space on tonight. I truly, truly enjoyed you on tonight. And
You
you
too,
tell,
friend.
you tell Johnny I thank him so very much
I will. I will.
this time. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will see you first Friday in June with another
Mhm.
segment of the Hub. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next month.
All
Thank
right.
you, Jenny.
Stay safe. That was so fun.